Hey guys, welcome back to Accelerated Investor. I am always, you guys know I'm so honored, privileged to be with you, to be sharing with you, to be just kind of sharing my journey, solo cast, content and strategies, bringing great guests on. Today I have a great guest. His name is Dave Dubeau. Dave is a professional real estate investor. He's been investing since 1998. He has an amazing program, which we're going to be talking about today, called Investor Attraction Implementor. Investor Attraction. He's got a book on this process. We're going to talk about in this interview his 5-step process for raising private capital. And this interview is specifically for those investors who are really mom and pop investors. Maybe you've invested in 1 or 2 or 3 of your own deals, maybe done some wholesaling, couple of rehabs, couple of rentals, but you're kind of running out of resources because you don't have any private money. Dave calls his formula the Money Partner Formula. And in this interview, we're going to go through very specific 5-step process to setting up your list, setting up your marketing, and why for Dave, cold calling, networking, and the deal selling itself, why that did not work for him. Cold calling did not work. Networking didn't work. And just finding a good deal and having it sell itself, that didn't work for Dave either. So Dave created this 5-step process, which now allows him and his clients and his students to raise millions of dollars in capital from a very small list of people. Okay. So if you're an investor, maybe done 10 deals or less, this interview is really for you. It's just really going to help you understand the mechanics of raising private capital, but also the thought process, the psychology, and actually the marketing, the step-by-step marketing to kind of warm up a list for people to be kind of predispositioned, and ready to do business with you as a private investor. So you'll love this Accelerated Investor interview with Dave Dubeau. Check it out.
Welcome to the Accelerated Investor Podcast with Josh Cantwell. If you love entrepreneurship and investing in real estate, then you are in the right place. Josh is the CEO of Freeland Ventures Real Estate Private Equity and has personally invested in well over 500 properties all across the country. He's also made hundreds of private lender loans and owns over 1,000 units of apartments. Josh is an expert at raising private money for deals, and he prides himself on never having had a boss in his entire adult life. Josh and his team also mentor investors and entrepreneurs from all over the world. He doesn't dream about doing deals. He actually does them, and so do his listeners and students. Now sit back, listen, learn, and accelerate your business, your life, and your investing with the Accelerated Investor Podcast.
So, hey, Dave, listen, thank you so much for joining us today on Accelerated Investor. Been looking forward to this for a long time. And I would love to hear more, Dave, about kind of some of the stuff that you're working on today. Obviously, we're in a very unique climate, both economically, the stock markets, the real estate market, a lot of people kind of projecting what's going to happen after the election. But entrepreneur Dave, as you and I make hay, regardless of what's going on with the markets. So let's talk a little bit about what you're actually up to right now. What are you working on that you're excited about?
Oh, thanks a lot, Josh. Excited about lots of stuff. My primary business is I've got a boutique marketing agency, and we work with real estate entrepreneurs, mom and pop real estate investors, helping them to raise capital for their deals, helping them with the marketing behind all of that. And we've got all sorts of clients all across North America, actually a couple in Australia too. And in spite of this whole COVID craziness, they're out there doing deals. They're out there raising capital. They're out there getting people excited. And there's no sign of anything slowing down, which is not what I would have predicted, rewind 7 or 8 months. So things are very, very, very active.
Yeah, I mean, if you remember back in March when COVID really took hold, all of a sudden the NBA is getting canceled, the NFL, they're talking about postponing, Major League Baseball is not going to get kicked off. And in our world, the institutional private lenders, the Peer Streets of the world, the Fund That Flips of the world, the Finance of Americas of the world, they all stopped lending. Like in one day, they all stopped lending because they weren't sure how to price their product so they could sell it on the secondary market. Do you remember that? That was like March 13th or March 16th. And so I've been talking with my group about you've got to be close to the money. You've got to have a direct relationship with your private lenders. Don't rely on institutional or corporate private money, but rely directly on relationships with the money, which is your expertise. So I'd love to talk more about that. So Dave, you and I kind of leading up this, we both agree. A lot of people get stuck buying just a couple properties because they're using their own capital. And you help people break through that to be able to build a big portfolio and do more deals, raising money. So help me understand that piece of it. When did it kind of dawn on you in your own business and helping other people that they really do get stuck at 2 or 3 or 4 deals? And how do you help them get kind of ready to start raising their own money and not relying on banks or their own capital?
Yeah, good question, Josh. So I've been teaching and training and doing stuff around real estate investing for quite some time. I think I did my first real deal back in 98, something like that. Started with small deals, got into creative stuff. I actually lived overseas for quite a long time. Lived down in Costa Rica. That's where I did a couple of little foreclosure deals. Moved back home in 2003. Had to start all over again from scratch. Low money, no money down type deals, Ron LeGrande type stuff. Mm-hmm. That was fun. And then fast forward a few years, I got into a strategy called client first or tenant first rent own, where we would buy them a property, then rent own it to them over 2 to 3 years while we helped them get qualified for financing. So I was able to self-finance my first couple of deals. And then that's when I hit the wall, right? Ran out of cash, ran out of credit. And of course, that's when the quote unquote perfect deal landed in my lap. I had perfect tenant buyer lined up, found him a house. Everything was looking ticky-boo. And all I needed to do was raise 85 grand for the down payment, closing costs, all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So, Josh, I had a lot of background in marketing, but not great at sales, definitely not good at cold calling. And what I'd heard was pick up the phone and start dialing for dollars.
Okay.
You probably heard that. I think you were at it for a long time. That was instilled in you guys early on.
No doubt.
But I don't know about you, but I think that sucks. And I tried it. I failed miserably at it. I got rejected. My fragile little ego couldn't handle it. So I quit doing that. Next thing I heard was, hey, Dave, go out and turn every conversation into a real estate conversation. Go out, network, schmooze, drum up some money that way. So I went out and I networked and schmoozed all over the place. Again, what did I end up with? Zero capital. Then I came up with a brilliant idea, Josh. I said, have you ever heard that? It's such a good deal, it'll sell itself. Have you ever heard of that? Well, I've told myself that. So I created a little 1-page PDF and I decided, hey, as long as people see this, it'll sell itself. So I emailed that out to pretty much everybody I knew. And that was the first thing that got some traction, Josh. I started getting some replies back. I was excited until I started reading those replies. And basically it said stuff like, hey, Dave, I haven't heard from you in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, whatever it is. And here you are trying to hit me up for cash for a deal.
Yeah.
Off, buddy, or some version thereof, right? So failed miserably. That deal went down the tube, evaporated, couldn't close on that, got egg on my face. I'm in kind of a small market. So obviously ticked off my tenant buyer, ticked off the seller, the realtor, the mortgage broker, everybody.
Because everybody's earning a commission, man. And when that deal doesn't close, you're affecting everybody's wallet.
Exactly. Plus, that really affected the nice little $40,000 profit I was going to make on that deal over 2 years after paying everybody else out. And Josh, that's when I said, hey, you know what? I never want to be in this position again. That's when I gave my head a shake and I said, Dave, if there's something you're pretty good at, it's marketing. Why don't you figure out a way to attract investors to you instead of constantly chasing after them? Because, Josh, you know this. You've been in the business a long time. When you are needy, it just oozes from every pore in your body. If you need that capital today, unless you're an amazing actor, it's just going to come out. It's going to come through. And needy is creepy, right? Needy is creepy. We all know that.
I love it. So you've laid out like what a lot of people hear when they hear about private money. Like you got a cold call everybody you know. You got to network with everybody you know. The deal's going to sell itself. Let me put together some whiz-bang PDF presentation. It's going to sell itself. And it didn't work for you, maybe it worked for other people. Maybe some people do have success network. Maybe people do have success selling a deal. But I think regardless of that, Dave, the opportunity that we're going to talk about now is using marketing to create a regular, consistent inflow of leads and private investors coming to you. Who wouldn't want to have that, right? So even if you are successful at networking for private investors, you still want to have a marketing machine to add another pillar, another way to recruit capital. Even if you can cold call all your friends and family and your colleagues and they say yes, wouldn't you also rather have a marketing machine to bring in additional deals? Even if the deal does sell itself, why not have an additional marketing machine? So Dave, I'm all ears. I'm enthralled with this subject. We market for private investors all the time. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on, is to hear your take on it, how you guys do it, and how you automate it. So let's jump into that piece.
Yeah. Okay. A quick caveat here first, Josh. Covered my butt.
Yeah.
I'm a marketer and I'm a real estate entrepreneur. I'm not a security specialist. I'm not a lawyer.
Yeah, the required disclaimer. I love it.
Oh yeah, got to have the disclaimer. You know far more about the intricacies of all of this. Plus, out on top of that, I'm up here in Canada, so the rules are a little bit different here. However, we do work with American and international clients as well. So
perfect.
Here's the thing, Josh. And again, my target focus here for who we're talking to, we're talking to people who are just getting started with raising capital. We're not talking.
Well, that's a lot of people. It's exactly. A lot of people.
So here's my take, Josh. And again, you guys, before you rush out, make sure you're set up properly to raise capital the right way, the legal way, depending on your particular state and jurisdiction, right?
Right.
And here's my take on it, Josh. Let's get the easy money first. Let's get the easy money first. So chances are, if you're trying to raise 100, 200 grand, even 50 grand from somebody, they're going to need to know you, like you, and trust you before they invest with you. Does that make sense? It's just
absolutely
common sense. So big mistake I see a lot of people making when they first get started is they run out and they think anybody with a pulse and a checkbook that doesn't bounce could be an investor for me. All right. And the pulse is optional.
Right.
That's what they think. But here's the thing. And
checkbook, pen in hand. I'll take it.
Yeah. But here's the thing, right? There's like 7.5 billion of us, give or take, on the planet, give or take a million or two with COVID. But, and we don't know most of them. So we think anybody will, with cash will do. But here's the thing. When you're going out to strangers, they don't know you, they don't like you, and they sure as hell don't trust you with their money yet, right? So you have to start that relationship from scratch. Plus, as a mom and pop real estate entrepreneur, you're breaking a whole bunch of laws if you're going out to the general public trying to raise cash for your deals. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So what I'm going to recommend you do, our first step of this little 5-step formula is create a target group of approximately 200 people that you already have a pre-existing relationship with. Friends, family, coworkers, business associates, people from sporting teams, church groups, whatever. People, if you bumped into this person on the street, they'd know you, you know them, you could have a nice conversation. So where do you get all these folks? Again, get them all out of your cell phone, out of your email address, out of your social media, get them all in one place, merge, purge, deduplicate, sift, sort, filter, get it down to 200. And then that's what we're going to focus on. I can't guarantee anything, but I can pretty much assure you, we're working with hundreds of clients over the years, there's $1 million in that contact list.
No doubt. I believe that for sure.
Yeah. So that's where we want to start. But here's what we want to avoid, Josh. We want to avoid making that stupid mistake I did, which is rushing in like a bull in a china shop and say, hey, it's Dave. I got a great deal. You got any cash?
Right.
It doesn't roll, right? So what I always suggest, start with a warm-up campaign, break the ice with these folks first on a personal level before you start talking business. So when we work with clients, we do a 3-step little email campaign. We get all those contacts into something like a email autoresponder, like a get response or something like that, and then break the ice with them little by little over about a week to 10-day period. So the first email that goes out is something like this. Hey, it's Dave. Chances are it's been a while since we've been in touch. Just want to reconnect with you. Here's what I've been up to for the last, let's say, about 5 years. Assume pretty much everybody hasn't heard from you for 5 years. talk about yourself, your family, if you're working, what you're doing for work. Don't try and get sneaky and subliminally sneak in any real estate stuff here. Unless you're somebody's like you where real estate's your full-time gig. Then yeah, you can talk about it. But again, that's not the purpose of this. Go through all of that, remind them about your kids' names, ages, all that kind of stuff. At the end of it, say, hey, well, that's what I've been up to. How about you? Please hit reply. Let's reconnect. All right? Send that off to all 200 people and then reply back to people. When they get back to you, have some back and forth, have some interaction.
Sure. Absolutely.
In my newest real estate investing book, The Flip System, you'll learn the proven secrets and strategies that I've used to be a successful real estate investor. You'll also hear the story of my journey from quitting my job to doing over 2,000 units of apartments. The Flip System is now available for a limited time, and you can grab your free copy at getflipsystem.com/podcast. You'll learn the same proven principles and secrets and investing strategies that I used to quit my job and pursue a life of financial freedom. In this book, I'm sharing exactly how I was able to personally close over 750 profitable real estate deals, make over 400 private lender loans, raise over $30 million, and acquire over 2,000 units of cash flowing apartments. Get my newest book now for free at getflipsystem.com/podcast. That's getflipsystem.com/podcast.
Well, yeah, they're gonna sniff that out pretty quick. If you send it out, somebody responds, like, "Hey, Dave, good to hear from you. What's going on?"
Yeah.
And then you're like crickets. You don't respond to them. It's like, okay, guys, like you're gonna have to start talking to some people, right? And you gotta go into this with the authentic desire to get to know people again, right?
It really is about that reconnection.
Yeah, the reconnect's got to be real. You go into it thinking, okay, I'm building a business of raising money, doing real estate deals, sure. But again, even if this person doesn't have money, could they be a center of influence? Can they be a cheerleader? Can maybe they buy a house from you? Can they sell a house to you? There's a million different reasons to make the connection on a personal level, but there's also not just one reason to make the connection on a business level. It's not just to raise money. Again, there's a lot of other things they could do. My years, all these 15 years I've been in real estate, I've done dozens and dozens of deals through referrals. I have friends of mine who are totally broke who referred me to somebody who was super rich who invested in one of my deals. So just that authenticity of, I'm going to make that connection. I want to know what you're up to. And, I'm not going to make any assumptions whether you have money or not. There's probably $1 million in that group for sure, Dave. I believe that because it's happened for me. But let's try to reconnect with people and see where it goes. Who knows what'll happen? Yeah,
exactly. Works like gangbusters. So we do a couple of messages like that. A third message, I call it the transition message. That's where we let people know that we're going to start talking business. And if they'd really rather not hear about it, they can always opt out of the list. All right. Mm-hmm. If you do it right, you actually get very, very few people opting out. When we do this with and for our clients, on average, if they got 200 people in their list, they might have 6 or 7 people opt out after that. So it really, doesn't have a big impact.
We didn't want to talk to those people anyway.
Yeah, exactly. They would never invest with you.
Yeah.
Right. Next part is, let's make sure, this is especially for the mom and pop real estate investors who are just getting started, let's make sure that you've got a decent presentation put together for when somebody puts up their hand and says, hey, Josh, I'm interested. What are you up to? All right. You don't want to, in my opinion, anyhow, Josh, it's very, very difficult for most people to explain a real estate deal over the phone. And you got to remember as well, the people on your contact list, they aren't real estate weirdos like you and I. And I say that with love and respect.
They're weirdos about some other stuff.
Yeah, everybody's got their weirdness, right?
Right.
Real estate's one of our weird things. But when you talk to an average civilian about real estate stuff, their eyes roll back in the back of their head. They zone out. So we always got to keep that in mind. So we got to keep that presentation, visual. We got to keep it short, simple, and create that curiosity. So we want to make sure you got your presentation ready to go. And then, you know what? It's all about the marketing. You want to make sure you've got that constant, consistent communication. So how is it that we get that flow of inbound investor inquiries? So the first thing is we've got that target group. Second thing is we've broken the ice with them. We've reconnected with them on a personal level first. And the third thing is we're constantly and consistently communicating with them, providing them with what I call edutaining marketing.
Yes.
Edutaining marketing, right? Because we do a data dump. The biggest mistake we can do is just try and cram in all of the years of real estate investing experience that we have in our heads into somebody who doesn't want it. What they want to know is they want the gist, and they want to know that you know what the hell you're talking about. So if and when they do invest with you, they're investing with somebody who's sharp. Does that make sense, Josh?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Edutainment. I love it. We're basically in the edutainment business, all of us. I mean, there's so much media, social media, like, fake news media. There's newspapers, there's marketing messages everywhere. People will connect with people who entertain them. So if you can educate someone and entertain them at the same time, they'll be more engaged. They'll be more connected. It's amazing to me, some of the weirdo videos that have like 10 million views right on Facebook or YouTube.
Right.
Why? Because they're entertaining. People the world can be a stressful place for a lot of people. They want to just veg out. So if you can educate them and entertain them at the same time, they're going to be connected with you. It's fantastic.
Without being too weird.
Yeah. Keep
No,
your weird
don't be
stuff
too
to
weird.
yourself.
There's a balance there. And
That's
then
great.
The next part is really important as well, Josh, because again, here's the beautiful thing. When we've got that contact list of 200 people that we have that pre-existing relationship with, we've got the know and the like factor taken care of, right?
Mm-hmm.
They know us, they like us. They might trust us to house sit the dog for the weekend, but will they trust us with $100,000? That's what we got to work on. So
Right, different type of trust.
The fourth step of the whole process is all about creating trust and credibility, being seen as a credible real estate authority in the eyes of your prospective investors. Now, here's the good news. You don't need to have a gazillion deals or doors under your belt to be seen as an expert in the eyes of your prospective investors. Here's the thing. Stats show that 95% of everyday people have never purchased an investment property. Property. Their own house doesn't count, right? An investment property. So that means the vast majority of your contacts who are outside of the real estate investing sphere have never purchased an investment property. So if you even have one deal under your belt, you're way ahead of them. It's kind of it's kind of like a kid in kindergarten. I don't know if it's been a long time for me, Josh, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Not so long for you, you young fella there. But for me, it's been a long time. So back in kindergarten, you saw that kid in grade 2 or grade 3, and they seemed like God, right? They
Totally,
seemed right? They could tie their shoes by themselves. They could print their names. They could add and subtract. And here we are bumbling around still having naps, right? So that's kind of how, I'm not insulting our investors, but that's how we got to keep it in mind. Even if you have one deal under your belt, your leaps and jumps ahead of the other folks. So it's all about how do you create that credibility? How do you create that trust?
No doubt. I love it. That's great stuff. The idea of, I want to hear your take on this. So I've been saying for years that marketing is sales in print, right? So with marketing, the edutainment marketing, getting people kind of warmed up through marketing, whether it's email marketing, whether it's physical newsletters or letters, what you put out on social media, your Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram types of pages, that all is a form of marketing that can be used to warm up an audience. So the know you, like you, and trust you, even with the people that are colleagues of yours, can take a while. But if you're kind of just nudging on them a little bit at a time through an email, through physical newsletter or a letter, maybe once a month, once a quarter, what you put out. I've got some friends that have built massive Facebook followings and really built almost an entire information marketing business, a multi-million-dollar company off of their just Facebook and Instagram posts because they used deals. They talked about their deals. They put deals out that they were doing or didn't do, money that they raised. just insights about business. All of that matters because, again, it's the know you, like you. You've already checked that box. Now, do they trust you? Can you nudge on them a little bit at a time to just a little bit more trust, a little bit more trust, a little bit more trust, to the point where they're finally like, hey, I'm going to call Dave. I'm going to call Josh and see what he's up to. That's the goal here, right?
Yeah. Plus, that's part of the thing with marketing is always having, because there's passive marketing, there's active marketing too, right? So a lot of the stuff that I see on Facebook, that's great. And passive marketing is what you should do on social media, again, to stay out of trouble with the securities and exchange commission, all that fun stuff, right? But when it comes to focusing on our target group, I suggest you actually have a call to action with your marketing, right? So, hey, if you'd like to find out more, give me a call. Let's see how this can work for you. If you'd like, here's 3 ways I can help you get started with real estate investing. Ding, ding, ding. Click on one of these things, right? You always tell them what to do. You don't just passively wait for them to figure it out. So
right.
The more clear you are about that, the better results you're going to get. And again, we're not trying to, here's the thing. Here's another really important thing, Josh. There's a big mistake I see a lot of newbies making. We're not ever trying to sell a deal in our marketing. The only thing we're trying to sell in our marketing is a meeting, an appointment to talk with us, right? Because that's where we can explain the nuts and bolts of the deal. Hey, buddy. And really make this make sense. Does that make sense there, John?
Absolutely. When I talk about raising private capital, the purpose of the phone, the purpose of the marketing is to get a meeting, right? Face-to-face meeting, or in this case, could be a Zoom meeting, a Skype meeting. And then from there, the purpose of that meeting is to, again, sort of the edutainment, educate an educational conversation about how this could work for them without selling them, without pitching them a deal, because you're in a situation at that time where, want to say hi, Dom?
Hi.
All right, let's see buddy.
Hi.
So we're in a situation where they kind of look, and what I do at the end of that meeting is I say, hey, I'm not assuming that you have any money to invest at all. I just wanted to kind of educate you about what I'm doing. And that way, if you know anyone who might be interested in something like this, if you know anybody that's going to either buy a house, sell a house, invest in real estate actively or passively, hopefully you can refer me. And my goal is that they turn around and say, well, hey, Josh, what about me? Right? So they self-select. Yeah. They, with no prep, like there's literally no pitch. There's no like, hey, will you invest in this deal? Hey, here's a deal to show you. None of that stuff. It's just, hey, I'm not assuming, because then if people self-select, then they're telling themselves like they've already sold themselves on investing with Dave or Josh.
Smart. Yeah. That makes sense.
And that's worked for me for a long, long time. And I feel so good about it. It just feels wholesome. It doesn't feel slimy, sleazy.
Manipulative, right? You're not manipulating anybody you're not twisting anybody's arm to invest in with you. You're not browbeating them down to do something, right? It's just
absolutely.
I call it a friendly grown-up conversation. Like, does this make sense for you? Is this something you're interested in? Yes, great. No, that's okay too, right? That's perfectly fine. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Usually, what we're trying to accomplish at the end of what we're trying to accomplish actually with the marketing a lot there, Josh, is to get people pre-educated, pre-motivated, pre-qualified, and predisposed to investing with us. So by the time they actually set up the meeting, they've already got the gist of what we're doing. They just want some of the details. And then what we're trying to lead them to is, I'm not trying to get them to cut me a check for $100,000 or anything like that. Is let's take the next step, right? So let's get you on my short list of prospective investors. So when I've got a deal on the go, you get first dibs. So let's maybe do an expression of interest, a letter of intent, whatever you want to call it in your area, non-legally binding. But my whole goal here, Josh, is for my clients, for them to have a group of investors ready to go, lined up in the wings, so they've got the money first, and then they go finding the deal. So they're not in that needy, creepy space that I was in when I first failed miserably at raising capital, which they're desperate, they're needy, right? So raise the money first, or have the money lined up first, and then you can go out and you can go make offers and deals with confidence, because you know you've got the capital to back you up.
Yeah, that's phenomenal stuff.
Are you ready to automate and explode your real estate investing? We're searching for extremely motivated individuals who are sick and tired of wasting time and want to finally see real results from their real estate investing business. We're searching for investors looking to get to the next level and become a bigger, better version of themselves while being a more successful real estate investing entrepreneur. Apply for mentoring and coaching at joshcantwellcoaching.com/podcast. That's joshcantwellcoaching.com/podcast.
Much more powerful to go into a meeting with a realtor, whether it be residential or commercial, to walk in with a wholesaler, to a motivated seller, and have that confidence to know that you could get the capital, right? A little scary, like you and I both did, Dave, when we were first getting started, making offers on deals. You know, you're doing like the client first, tenant buyer first, go find the deal. And that's, oh crap, I got to raise this $85,000. Where am I going to get it from? I've been there. I know what that feels like. Even trying to find a deal and thinking, well, what if I'm going to wholesale it, but I've got to do a back-to-back closing, A to B, B to C, and I've still got to fund that first transaction. I can't do an assignment. I've got to have some capital for that too. So I love the idea of investors first, private lenders first, finding deals. They're kind of like two separate trains going down two separate tracks. You got to manage them at the same speed, if you will. Maybe the capital's a little bit ahead of the deal flow. It's really a powerful situation to be in where you can say, hey, look, I can make an offer and buy this thing. I just did a fundraising webinar yesterday. We raised $3 million.
Wow.
And in 90 minutes, we only needed $600,000. We're paying cash for a 16-unit apartment building. And we didn't do that overnight. Frankly, everything that you've talked about in this podcast, we did starting in 2012, 2013, 14, very similar approach. And now 8, 9, 10 years later, it's like, you know, we can go get millions of dollars for big commercial apartment deals, but it started using almost the same exact process that you described here today. This is fantastic stuff.
Well, and that's, I think, because the people that you had that webinar with were what would be what I would call your investors in the wings. These are people that already put up their hand and said, Josh, I'm interested. I'm hot to trot. Let me know when you got a deal.
Exactly.
I want to have first dibs. That's how you're able to
Yeah.
raise $3 million for a $600,000 deal.
These were not brand new relationships. You're exactly right. It's not like I just invited these people and this is the first time they ever heard about me or first time they ever heard about a deal. These are people that I have been grooming, working with. Some of them are previous investors. I've sent them out my weekly newsletters, emails. I've sent them out my quarterly physical newsletters for years. Some of these people, I had a guy in 2015. I played golf with him at Trump National Golf Course down in Charlotte, North Carolina. He did everything you talked about today. We did from 2015 to 2018, and finally in 2018 made his first investment. Now he's got over $1 million with us.
Beautiful, smart. See,
stuff really, really works.
You got the long-term perspective. That's what we need to have. We need to understand what the lifetime worth of an investor is to us. And that number is mind-boggling when you crunch the numbers.
Mind-boggling, absolutely. Dave, let me ask you one final question. If you were to go back to 1998 and you were to give yourself some advice about what you know now about real estate and about raising capital and relationships with private lenders, what's maybe one or two pieces of advice you'd give your younger, former, less experienced self?
Yeah, well, I was all focused about, the quick pops of cash, so in and out, creative type deals, flip type deals where you get in and you make a bit of money, then you go find the next one, right? I would tell my younger self, hold on to some of those.
Yeah.
Put an investor or two on board. If you don't have the money, somebody else does. And hold on to some of those because, 2020 hindsight, but there's millions and millions of dollars in equity I don't have because I sold all those deals. That would be the advice.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel the same way. If at this point, I've done tons of wholesale and rehab deals. I'd probably keep every single one of them if I could go back. Now, at that time, I needed the money. Like I quit my job as a financial planner. I needed to make some money. So I wholesale deals. I did rehabs. It all made sense at that time. So, I'm not regretting that decision, but absolutely, if you can find a way to make an acquisition fee up front when you buy a rental or buy an apartment building with private money, we structure that in there, actually only $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 acquisition fee. That's instead of them letting the property go, keep some cash for yourself. And then you can have, get paid up front, get paid from rental income, and then ultimately equity and sell the building down the road. Dave, fantastic stuff. Listen, if my audience would want to connect with you, learn more about your 5-step process, or hire you to help them with their marketing, where can they get more information?
Well, I'll trade them my book, Money Partner Formula, for their name and their email address.
Perfect. Let's do it. Where can they get the book?
All they need to do is go to investorattractionbook.com, investorattractionbook.com, and give me your name and your email address. I'll give you my book, and we'll be connected.
That is fantastic stuff. Dave, listen, thanks so much for joining us today on Accelerated Investor. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you very much, Josh. Keep doing what you're doing, buddy.
Thanks a lot. Take care. So, hey guys, listen, I hope you really enjoyed that interview with Dave Dubeau. Again, check out his book, investorattractionbook.com. I hope you enjoyed that 5-step process that Dave went through. Very, very, very similar to the stuff that I do and I teach. So Dave is spot on with the material that he's been teaching. The interview today on the podcast is exactly what I did starting back in 2012, 13, 14, when I survived pancreatic cancer, started raising private money. And remember, guys, now we've raised over $70 million of private money. We're actively managing $40 million of that. And we started using almost the exact same 5-step process that Dave taught in today's Accelerated Investor podcast. I hope you really enjoyed it. If you did, as always, please do me a favor. Help us build this ecosystem. Help us build this community by sharing this on social media. Share it on your Facebook, Instagram, your LinkedIn. Leave us a rating. Leave us a review. We're really hustling our faces off, myself, but I've got a whole team of people with me. Ramey Garreau, Jen Pennington, Natalie Meyer, Marissa Pedraza. We've got an incredible team, podcast booking agents. We've got a lot of people working behind the scenes to really help bring dynamic interviews, solo casts, and guests onto the Accelerated Investor podcast. So it would mean a huge, great deal to me and our entire team if you could share this on social media and leave us a rating and review. It means a lot to my team. Every time we get a new rating and get a new review, our team is like, oh my God, that's awesome. Look what they said. Trust me, guys, it really matters to us. It matters to me. It matters to my whole team when you give us feedback. So thank you so much for joining us on another great interview on Accelerated Investor, and appreciate your feedback so much. We'll see you next time. Take care.
Hey, Josh here, and do you want to win a free Accelerated Investor t-shirt? All you have to do is give Accelerated Investor, our podcast, Accelerated Investor, a rating and a review on iTunes, okay? Do that now. Then send us a screenshot on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. What we're gonna do then is every week we're gonna pick our favorite rating and review, and we're gonna send that person a free t-shirt and maybe, again, some other cool, fun stuff as well from Accelerated Investor. So, again, don't forget to take a screenshot. Leave a rating, review, take a screenshot, send it to us so we know exactly who you are. And then once a week, every week on the podcast, we will announce a new winner. Don't forget to take a screenshot and send it to us so we know exactly who you are. We'll announce a new winner every week.
You've been listening to Josh Cantwell and the Accelerated Investor Podcast. Leave a comment on our iTunes channel and let us know what you want to learn next or who you'd like Josh to interview. While you're there, give us a 5-star rating and make sure to subscribe so you can be the first to hear new episodes. Follow Josh Cantwell and his companies, Strategic Real Estate Coach and Freeland Ventures, on all social media platforms now, and stay up to date on new training and investment opportunities. To start your journey toward the lifestyle you've always dreamed of, apply for coaching at joshcantwellcoaching.com.